So when I decided to go have a PhD and people started, chit-chatting about it around me, I simply didn't care.
Hi, my name is Vlad Bătășescu, and this interview is part of the Person Behind Academic Success series. My guest is the founder of MEDEX, the Congress, and one of the most important of the scientific organization of medical students in Romania, Bucharest. Welcome, Mihai Stancu, Dr. Mihai Stancu.
Thank you.
I want to start by saying it is a great honor to interview such an accomplished scientist as yourself, and I thank you on behalf of all the teams involved for your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
The main audience for this interview is represented by medical students, and they want to know what it takes to reach such academic and professional heights. So let's start from the beginning of your academic journey. You studied medicine in Bucharest.
Yes.
And then, during your time in medical school, you entered the scientific organization of medical students.
Yes.
Firstly, why did you choose to study medicine?
Well, it might seem naive, but the idea for studying medicine, I started having it towards the end of the 10th grade in high school, and it really crystallized in the 11th grade. I basically reached this conclusion, this thought that I would be best using my time on Earth by trying to help people. So because I wasn't constrained by any other aspects of life, I was able to pursue this thought. So I applied for med school and I got in.
And as I earlier said, you joined a scientific organization. Were you always passionate about research?
Well, it depends by what you mean with always. And I actually have something against this. So when you hear someone say, I've always, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. And I personally, I don't buy it. When I was 10, I enjoyed playing with Legos, for example, or with cars and so on and so forth. Then science somehow started insinuating into my life, but without me actually acknowledging the entire process. So I was a curious kid. I always was curious for as long as I remember. So I took my time with watching documentaries, learning how things work, and so on. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that I've seen my father when I was a very, very young kid, working for his projects and for his PhD and so on. Father has a PhD in electronics, so maybe I'm sure that all of these contributed. So passion for science probably crystallized towards the end of the high school and med school, of course.
But it was something that built up over time.
Yes, yes. It's. I think it always. There's always a build up in time. There is no thing that. Oh my God! Yeah, I'm so curious right now. That's not how the brain works.
One extraordinary thing that you did was organizing and founding a medical student congress when you were in medical school. How did that idea come about? Some students, as I am, can't even think where to start.
Yeah,
such a thing.
Well, it's sheer lack of I don't know, contact with reality, I guess. So it was it was a very, very courageous thing. Let's put it like this. So the story is that in 2015 we were invited in Cluj by the students at the Cluj University to a conference in which they were supposed to have two Nobel Prize laureates as keynote speakers. So another thing of mine is that I'm not exactly restrained by conventions and so on, and so I can be very blunt. So after the conference, I simply went to the guy and told him that I really need to see him the following morning and have coffee with him because we need to discuss something very important. So I did. I went to have coffee with Sir Tim Hunt, and with my friend Kalin Kavaropol. He's a witness, so he can testify on this. So we went there. We had a coffee, and I told him, listen, this conference was very nice. It was all good. I think there was an audience of around 200 people in Cluj. It was amazing. It was a packed amphitheater. And then I said, okay, this needs to happen in Bucharest as well. I mean, by all means. And then uh, I mean, the best that we could do at that point was to have a symposium, maybe some 2 or 3 more lectures, and pack them as a small symposium. But then, see, I was lucky with the people around me, and then Kalin said, "Then well, why not a conference?" So then I thought a bit about it. It has never been done. It had never been done before. We knew. I mean, there was only a few of us who actually knew how to do it, how to organize it. It was just 3 people who had done this before, but at a much smaller scale. And then I decided, okay, yes, let's do it. So I called all my friends at the end of November for. I didn't tell them why. I didn't tell them why. I just told them, yes, we will all meet. They all thought that this is a birthday party. So because it coincided with my birthday, so they brought me a sweater as a gift. So I still have it. That's the medic's sweater if you want. And um, I took the sweater. I said, "Yeah, thank you. This is very nice, but that's not why you're here. Listen, we're gonna do this and that." And we were eight people,
For a whole conference.
8 people for this, basically.
Wow.
So yeah, from that moment onwards, so from the end of November, we had until mid-April. I think I might be wrong, but I think the first medics, the medics 2016, was exactly on these dates, 11th till 14th of April. So we literally had to build everything from the end of November all the way until early April, basically. So we did. The 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 key point were the people. The people around me. I didn't have to micromanage or worry that oh maybe they didn't do this or that or so on. We talked, all of us agreed on things and so on, and they took care of things. This is how.
But how difficult was organizing your first event?
It's it was extremely difficult because we didn't have the infrastructure, we didn't have a website, we didn't have a conference venue, we didn't have the know-how, we didn't have literally anything. It was difficult. It was extremely difficult. But as I was saying, lack of contact with reality in this at this stage helped.
You
So
say lack of contact with reality,
I'm joking.
but I say courage, risk taking.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Risks on all levels. You name it. Yeah.
And after 9 years of organizing this event,
Yeah.
are you proud of what you've done? Of what you've achieved with it?
I don't know if the I I have a deficiency of this thing, this proud thing, because I don't see I don't this isn't about me. So I'm maybe proud of them, of my friends, of my colleagues, of the students who are doing it, but not necessarily proud of myself. There's always things to improve. There's always decisions that could have been better, and so on and so forth. Now, me being abroad and not having direct contact with people makes it even more difficult to try to. Sure, I advise, but even an advisory position is a bit difficult.
You mentioned something about being abroad. I want to get back to your academic journey.
Yeah.
You finished med school,
Yes.
and then you told me this before the interview.
Yeah.
2 days after finishing your last year of medical school,
Yeah.
you went straight to LMU, which
Yes.
is an university in Munich, to do your PhD and to continue doing research.
Yes.
I imagine this decision of not following the traditional path of becoming a
Yes.
doctor and going to research, it was not an easy one.
It was.
It was.
When you're when you have a few loose screws, it was very easy. It was very, very easy. I made the decision years before.
Years before.
Yeah.
And did you have the support of the people around you for this decision?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily because it was something atypical. People don't know how to manage the unknown. People would rather, so this is how the brain works. People would rather suffer in a known way than to change and eliminate the suffering, or even better, bringing fulfillment in their lives and so on. So, sure, for a vast majority of people around me, having made this decision, was like, what are you doing, and how can you, change it? How can you not practice medicine, and so on and so forth. But there were a few people who understood and who had my back. Of course, my family supported me, so that wasn't an issue. My friends from SOMS, they were, I mean, a lot of them had, I don't know, maybe some plans regarding going abroad, at least for a time, for studying, going to a rotation. So it wasn't that unheard of. But yeah, generally, it wasn't perceived as a thing to do. I think this thing changed. Right? It's not the same nowadays. So 10 years are making a difference, basically, in the attitude of people.
Can you elaborate more on that? So you think now people nowadays are more accepting to someone who wants to stray away from the traditional path of becoming a doctor?
Well, it's not as unheard of
Okay.
as before. I guess this is the thing. Plus, social media accelerated a lot of the information passing in exchange. So I guess people now witnessed more variations of what you could do.
Coming back to social media,
Yeah.
do you think because of the social media dynamic that has developed in the past few years, do you think now there's a smaller incentive for young people to go into research? Do you think other career paths seem more appealing?
Absolutely. But it's a false, see, this is the problem, this is the trick. It's a false premise. So sure, there are some people can who can go and be successful in a small range of career paths. Many of them including social media. So I don't know, having an online presence and so on. However, what they may not realize is that the successful few that are, present on their black mirrors, it's just a few of them. It's not the majority. We can't all be influencers. That's not how it works. So then you have kids looking up to influencer-like personalities and building a reality in their brain which crashes, which eventually crashes. 99.99% of the time, reality doesn't fit the plan that's unfolding in their brain. And when that happens, that's when trouble arrives. So it's not ideal.
It's not ideal. No, indeed. Now, coming back to the present, you did another extraordinary thing today. So one of the speakers of the Convex couldn't get here because of a medical issue, and you stepped in and held a conference about your PhD thesis.
Yes.
Can you tell us how that experience was for you, and how hard is doing something like that on the spot?
So the the story is the speakers who weren't able to come. I worked with one of them, so it's Benedict and Magdalena. I work with Benedict now, and I worked in his department before for the PhD. It's it was unfortunate. So they went on vacation, and sure, there's some health issues happened, and they couldn't fly. So he sent me an email at 45 past midnight or something like this. We won't be able to make it. Um, and yeah, I told my colleagues, and we had to decide what to do, and we had a number of options. And the option with someone stepping in was, was solving the gap that would appear in people's schedules. So because it was so both of them are neuroscientists. I'm a neuroscientist, so we thought that okay, people may want to hear something related about neuroscience, and I was able to provide uh, having a making a presentation with such short notice is a challenge, but there is no choice. There is no choice. You make the presentation 2 hours before. This is what I did this morning.
But it went quite well, you'd say.
That's up to you to judge. You're the ones who saw the.
Well, I say it did. You said you're a neuroscientist.
Yes.
I think there are many people who are, or maybe think they are interested in this domain.
Yes.
What was the thing that attracted you to this domain, to this field of expertise?
Well, it's the brain that makes us what and who we are. So it's this lump of cells and tissue in our heads that literally defines everything that we are and how we are. So trying to figure out how that is happening, one small step, one very small slice at a time, seemed like a good idea. That's one thing. The another thing is that I'm, let's say, passionate about electrophysiology. So everything for me it fits perfectly like a glove. So I was able to study the brain with electrophysiological methods, quite nice. I was also able to study some anatomy, as you saw in the presentation. So it gets me going. So you have this lump of cells that talk to each other using some variation of electrical currents, and somehow they make sense out of all that, and all this makes us who and what we are. So there are things about the brain that there's a high chance we will never understand how they work. So just being part of the effort, it's perfect for me.
I think after a day of interviews, I can say there's a common denominator to each interviewer who is involved in science. They all say they want to be part of the project of the future of the science community, and I think that's something really important to outline.
Yes, the thing is, we in science, we realize how small and insignificant we are, because that's the reality. The I don't know. Let's say with the living organisms, the complexity, the sheer complexity of an organism is so high that we cannot imagine, we cannot fathom knowing the entire picture. So and I say this is a very good thing because we can afford to be kids gazing at the stars, and just being curious and just wonder about how things work, because there's so much to discover and to understand and to learn that I know everyone in science knows that they are set for life in terms of things to do. It's not like science will end before our lifetimes or anything or anywhere soon. So, you know that you can afford to be curious for the entirety of your life. I think that's absolutely, absolutely awesome.
You mentioned the future, and I want to go have a look into the future right now.
Yes.
Do you think artificial intelligence is going to have an impact on neuroscience and, as you say, as on discovering this every star in the universe?
Um, it will. So artificial intelligence is a tool. It's mathematics. So it's just I mean, if we paid more attention to 11th and 12th grade mathematics, we would actually be quite proficient in understanding how all this works. So AI can be used as a tool in almost anything. In I don't know, disease research, normal, physiological circumstances of an organism, and so on. And plus, in any other branch of research, being engineering, physics, chemistry, you name it. So the trick is to be able to understand how you could use it and not waste time. Because you shouldn't spend time hammering a nail with a locomotive.
Yeah.
You just need the hammer. Use the locomotive to pull the train, and then you're good. And I think this is a good
Analogy.
analogy, yeah, for this. So yeah, AI will definitely it's already happening. I mean, for quite a long while now. It is being used. It is being harnessed by scientists. It's helpful. It's for us physicians. We can use it for diagnosing people. So it's it's a thing that will be here for very, very long, and progress will be made in computing science and so on. So it will be even better.
So, since we were talking already about the future, I want to ask you, what are your main goals, your personal main goals for the future, and what are some main goals for medics for the up and coming years?
Well, personal goals. See, this is I'm benefiting from tranquility. My personal goals haven't changed. It's I think that I want and need to enjoy the life and existence as it is, and especially the people in my life. So and to try to do as not as best as I mean the best to put everything into what you do, so that you basically you have a sense of fulfillment. Even maybe you can fail, it's fine. But at the end of the day, when you put your head on the pillow, you can go to sleep quite peaceful because you knew that you did everything. So this is philosophical, but the advantage is that it doesn't actually matter what shape it, it gets in the end. So be it an academic career, a clinician career, something completely different, you name it. You can do things in a certain way no matter what you're doing. And this is for example, this has been a huge advantage for me because I've been having this attitude for many years, way before med school. So when I decided to go have a PhD and people started chit-chatting about it around me, I simply didn't care. And it was awesome. So for the future, I mean, I have my projects. I'm a postdoc now. I went on and I'm studying the auditory cortex. So there are a few things happening. As time goes by, I live with the false impression that maybe things would get simpler, or there will be a chiller environment and pace that I've never been so wrong in my life. Of course, as time goes by, it only gets more complicated. Uh, so yeah, I guess enjoying the process. This is for my life, and for medics. Well, this is the ninth edition. So after ninth edition, you would have the 10th edition. And of course, because it's the 10th, people want things, and I won't tell you right now. I won't.
You're keeping it
I
a
won't.
secret.
Of course, of course, of course. But hopefully it will be good, at least as good as what we've done so far.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear about it. Now, for the final part of the interview, I want to ask you, what advice do you have for up and coming scientists?
Well, the I still don't consider myself old enough in order to be entitled to pass advice to people.
Okay, maybe
To be
then
honest,
the three biggest lessons that you could pass on to the next generation of scientists.
don't waste time on yeah, this is the most important thing. Don't waste time on useless things in your everyday life. If you can use maybe half the time you're throwing away with social media, with other distractions, that at the end of the day, because you know what, if we spend time on social media learning about stuff like we are doing right now, then sure, you would have something to gain. But you're wasting time looking at literally nothing. And if you ask anyone about the reels they saw not 2 days ago, 1 day ago, they won't be able to tell you.
Nothing.
So then this is literally the definition of wasted time. So this would be a thing. Don't waste time. Try to learn about something new with every occasion, and you will be way better by doing this than just throwing it away, throwing it out the window. Then be resilient. I know that this isn't actually happening that much nowadays, but resilience has to exist. The process isn't easy. No process, no, I mean, if you want, sure, if you want things, anything, whatever it may be, if you want to be even somewhat successful, you need to pour a lot of effort into it, and this is a this comes in contradiction with what's usually happening in the lives of in the academic lives of people up until they get to med school, right? So there's a discrepancy, and um, curiosity. I think that's the third thing would
So
be to be curious.
dare to be curious.
Yes, dare to be curious, and you know what? It's a skill. It's not something that you're necessarily born with, but it's a snowball. It's like a snowball effect. You get more curious as the more information you take in, and so on and so. Because obviously you take something in, then maybe a question arises about something. So then you go there, and then two more, and then two more, and then you end up with a browser with 50 tabs open. Yeah, 50 rabbit holes. Uh,
The
but
more you learn, the less you realize you know,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And this is what gets you a proper, I don't know, proper view on reality. That's why I was saying that we are actually insignificant. So the more you know, the more you realize that we are specks of existence in the universe.
Okay, now this last part should be fun. I want to know the first word that pops into your mind when you hear the words from my list. So for example, simple example would be I say food, you say pie.
Sure.
Future,
Brain,
cancer,
cured.
aging,
Prolonged,
technology,
overwhelming,
medical systems,
problematic,
and for the last one, medical education.
AI.
AI. Wow. Okay, this has been the interview. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for having me.
Thank you.